All right, Duna Wengombe. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the page. I am, of course, the cattle headman, the Induna Wengombe. Today, I want to talk about a breed that I was working with for nearly 4 to 5 years, which was the Brahman breed of cattle. This was one of the bulls that I owned on my farm when I was still farming here in the Witwa area commercially. His name was Sholozi, but he was registered at the Brahman Stud Society as Canon. I just forgot his ID. It was JR, I forgot. And I bought him from this breeder. This is Mr. Rhino van der Merwe, Watermeer Brahman. We bought him from Mr. Rhino van der Merwe. He farms in the eastern part of Namibia, which is now the Omaheke. So the question is, why did I choose Brahman cattle? The first thing that I looked at was the mothering ability of Brahman cattle. These are very excellent mothers. In other words, if they were humans, you would say they're the overprotective mothers. Those ones that are just on you 24/7. And the type of mother that you can't even come and try to harm the child, because she will harm you. She will harm you in return. So that's what I had with Brahman cattle. Whenever my Brahman cows had just given birth, we would not even attempt to get into the kraal. We just open the gates, let them come in, drink their water. After they're done, go out. And when they go out, and the calm ones, and the ones without calves are still in the kraal, we'd walk around them. But when they become mothers, you guys are not best friends. You'll get chased. You'll get chased up a tree. You will learn how to climb a tree that day. Another reason was it's very heat tolerant, meaning that it's a breed of cattle that you can really expose to any climatic condition, whether you are exposing it to the extremely hot, to the extremely hot weather. It adjusted quite well. Whether it's hot and dry or hot and humid, it adjusts quite well. Because we farmed in the Omaheke, it's a bit in the Omaheke, in the eastern part of Namibia, closer to Botswana, to the Kalahari of Botswana. It's more, I wouldn't say humid, I would say it's hot and dry. It's hot and dry weather. So there's no real humidity, or the humidity is very low in the air. So it's hot and dry weather. So it adjusts very well in those areas. It doesn't need any extra maintenance. Parasite resistant. Yeah, it's parasite resistant in terms of tick bite illnesses. It would adjust very well to them. I mean, it would tolerate them. It will tolerate them so well that it doesn't really fall very ill, that it gets so direly ill that it might die from it. But it doesn't mean that you as the farmer get lazy and don't do your inoculations. You still need to do inoculations, the jabs. You still need to give it to your cattle. Crossbreeding was another reason that I farmed with Brahman bulls for such a long time. Was the crossbreeding. When they crossbreed, let me say I put a Brahman to a Nguni, what is going to be produced from the Brahman Nguni cross is going to be far superior than the purebred Brahman or the purebred Nguni. The characteristics are going to be so superior. You know, the calf would either be bigger than the mother, would be bigger than the mother, better weight, would probably be, when it comes to libido, for example, be higher libido than the father. So those were the things that I loved with Brahman when it came to crossbreeding. Another reason was also early maturing. You know, these are early maturing cattle. They're not late maturing like not the Brahman, the Simmental. The Simmental is a late maturing cow. So I think by 18 months, they're ready. By some people 15, I think 15 to 16 months, they're ready to be put to a bull. But I used to wait till 18 months. 18 months, I'm ready to put them to a bull. But sometimes, you know, I'd have my bull walking between them, and the bull would know. It would start sniffing. So you would know some of your heifers are ready to be put to a bull. So the early maturing animals, that was another plus bonus from my side, meaning I could wean them at an early age from their mom. I was weaning my animals at 6 months. My Brahman weaners, I was weaning them at 6 months. And they were packing weight. They would carry weight, you know. Very good muscular growth. You know, this is an animal, the particular Brahman bulls, and I think this is why the show rings love them so much. The show rings love them so much, particularly here in Namibia. These guys have Brahman bulls, I think, hold the titles for the most show wins in Namibia. I think they hold, for the Windhoek show, which is our biggest agricultural show, I think they hold the most titles. Because the muscle growth and their muscle growth and their physique is so nice. You know, you look at, for example, Canon. This guy, I wasn't even feeding. The only thing I was giving him was lick. And this was him on his natural condition. Imagine this is his natural condition. He's not getting extra feeds. I'm not giving him bills of glycerin. I'm not giving him a special formula of feeds like some of the guys would go to the shows. He was on his natural condition. So the muscle growth was brilliant on these animals. Some people would say that They look like bodybuilders, like they lift weights. That was the nice part of the Brahman, the muscular growth and the physical appearance. They increased muscles. They're very increased muscle built. As I said, winning, they would also win very large winners. As I said, with Brahman, because of the ability to be able to crossbreed with other cattle, even with your indigenous cattle, the calves are born small and they grow quick. They grow rapidly. They not rapidly, but they grow fast. They're fast growing. You know, a calf that I saw probably, it was born, let me say, beginning of April. After 3 weeks or 4 weeks, when I go back to the farm, because maybe I was out of work and I go back to the farm, I wouldn't recognize the calf. It would look totally different, bigger, stronger. A calf that I could carry like this, suddenly I can't even carry or catch it because it's bigger, it's stronger, it's faster, it's stronger, it's able to fight me. They were terrible when I had to work these animals, particularly when I had to brand them. Because when they were small, they're easy, you catch them, you put the ear tag very easily on. But after 4 weeks and you come back, they are so strong that now you need 2 people. You grab it with a rope, you need to drop it, and you are fighting, and it's jumping like a kudu. So it's a lot of things, you know. So that's why I said I used to enjoy winning them because they would win heavier calves, long reproductive lifespan. As I mentioned it yesterday, I think I mentioned in the Simbra video that I made yesterday, that with Brahman cattle, what I enjoyed was I used to hear stories, and I also witnessed it myself. I had one Brahman cow in my kraal that I had for nearly 8 years. So it was 8 years old. It was still breeding and still conceiving calves at the age of 8. I have heard of other farmers who've had Brahman cows age 18, and they are still conceiving and giving birth to calves. There was another reason that made me sit down, and they're bulls. They're bulls, and I've spoken to some guys. I remember Andres Campion, ACB, Andres Campion Brahman, ACB, before he moved to South Africa. He was running bulls that are 15-year-old Brahman bulls, and he was covering about 20 ahead of 20 young heifers. It was still being able to cover, so it was still being productive, drought resistant. When you farm in a country like Namibia, which is a semi-desert, semi-arid country, we do not have tropical rainfall conditions unless you go a bit up to the eastern part. This is the Kavango and the Zambezi. The rest of the country we're exposed to semi-arid conditions, meaning rainfall. This year, 2021, we're having very good rainfalls. Places are hitting about 800 millimeters in a few hours. But maybe 2022, it might be drier. So you need an animal that can adjust and still be very productive in drought, in low rain conditions. The Brahmans were doing that. Even when I was farming them, and we had one of the worst droughts in 2015, I wasn't really experiencing losses of cattle. They performed quite well. They didn't need extra help. Yes, I would buy the licks. Of course, licks here and there, licks that I would give them, but I was never buying bales of grass for them. I never bought bales of grass. The only time I bought bales of grass were for my pregnant cattle that had just given birth, the lactating cattle. Those ones that have calves suckling from them were the only ones that would get a bale of grass or a bale of lick. But overall, they did it. The one part I disliked about the Brahman was, these are the cattle breed. This is a cattle breed that you can't own if you are lazy. What I mean about being lazy is, if you stay in the city, for example, and your farm is in rural part of Namibia, and your farm workers, all they do is open the gate, let the cows come in, drink water. After they drink water, the cows go back to the gate, they open the gate, the cows go out. That's a big mistake you're making. Because the day you have to handle this cattle, they'll be so wild and aggressive. What I did with my farm workers is I told them, guys, these are high energy animals, so you guys cannot be lazy. Every day these cows come back from the field, they enter the kraal, they come drink water, you close the gate, let them stand in there, and you guys walk in between them. So they get accustomed and used to people. So you have to humanize them. In other words, you need to expose them to human beings. If you don't do that, it is to your own detriment because they do become wild. I have seen a Brahman bull, which is 800 kilograms, jumping fences because it is so wild it doesn't like people. It's either it's going to try and fight you. If it can't win you, the next thing it's going to do is run away, and that's jumping and breaking fences. So it's very important that when you farm this breed of cattle, you need to make sure that your workers are not lazy. Your workers always go walk in between them, climatize the calves to human beings, being touched or being exposed to, sniffing a human being and getting the scent of a human being. It's very important. Because the one problem I had with my Brahman cattle were, when they would go give birth in the field, they would hide the calf there. They would hide the calf in between some thorn bushes. Leave, go drink water and come back, and probably keep that calf in the field for like about 2 good weeks before we see that calf. And when they bring that calf back home, that calf is as wild as your wildest impala or a wild animal. It's just running away from you. The calf doesn't want to be touched. It's just running, 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 running. So it's very important that you climatize them. Climatize your animals. Climatize your animals. This is why, climatize them, get them used to having human beings walking between them, human beings coming into contact with them. So they are very calm. This is why when you go to the show, particularly the Vinduk show, the agricultural show, when they bring their cattle, particularly the Brahman cattle, and also all the breeds that are brought there, those cattle are so used to human beings. You would come close, touch them, take pictures, rub them. They are so calm because what one breeder told me is because it takes time. He is every day in between his cattle. There's no day that skips that is not in between his cattle. So they just get used to human beings, so having human beings around them. So what is the average weight of a full-grown Brahman bull? Full-grown Brahman bull can be from 800 to 1,100 kilograms. A female can be from 500 to 700 kilograms. So they do pack weight. They're heavy animals. Very good for winning production. Like I said, if you're going to be producing winners, they're very good for that. If you're going to be crossbreeding, you can put them to your indigenous cattle, like crossbreed them with your Nguni cattle, your Mashona cattle if you're in Botswana, your Tulis, Mashona cattle if you're in Zimbabwe, your Tulis if you're also in the Zimbabwe area, your Ngunis if you are in most part of Africa, your indigenous cattle, whether it's Ngunis, Sangas, Mashonas, or Borans. I've seen some Boran breeders even crossbreed Brahman and Borans, and I've seen it's very good crosses. Brahman crosses, the animal that are crossbred out of Brahman, I think I mentioned it, but let me mention it again. It's because it's known as the king of crossbreeding. It's, of course, your Santa Gertrudis. That's a Brahman. That's a Brahman in a short-horn cross. Your Drought Master, which is also crossed out of a Brahman. Your Simbra, which I spoke about yesterday. Your Braford, which is a Hereford and a Brahman. Your Brangus, which is a Brahman and a Angus. Your Shara Bay, which is your Brahman and your Shalalay cattle. So, if you are into crossbreeding, if you are saying, I have some indigenous cattle, I want to cross them to an improved beef breed, get the Brahman. The only one weakness I had is the aggression. You need to, of course, spend time, work with your cattle so they are not aggressive. Work the aggression out of them. If you've worked your cattle and you still have 1 or 2 cows or a bull that's aggressive, either don't sell it, cull it. Kill it, send it to the abattoir, let it get slaughtered, turn it into meat, because you don't want that animal. That animal is going to be passing those genetics over to its calves. So, yeah, beside the aggression and being wild, the another thing that I picked up with working with Brahman, the time that I worked with Brahman cattle, was the milking ability. Sometimes some of my Brahman cows didn't produce enough milk or didn't have milk at all. And sometimes they would want to, they'd orphan their calves. So I had to bottle feed and bottle raise some of these calves. It was once in a while, not all the time, once in a while, 1 or 2 of them would have such problems. But overall, as I say, I worked with them. It's a lovely breed. This is why it's one of the most sought after breeds here in Namibia. In any communal area you would go, doesn't matter whether you're going to the southern, the eastern, the northern, the northeast part of Namibia, you would always find a Brahman bull amongst cattle, because it's a lovely looking bull. It's the type of cattle breed that if your wife is there screaming, no, you can't go farm, I don't want us to farm, what, you just take her to the show. You take her to the show, you take her to the show and she goes, look at this. Who wouldn't fall in love with that face and those ears? The ears are what most people actually love of this breed. The ears. My friend who's a red Brahman breeder would say that when he's crossbreeding, when he's buying his bulls and he's breeding with his cows, you try to pick the ones with the very large ears, because those ears look goofy when these animals walk. When they are walking like this, their ears are just doing this. It's quite nice, and a lot of people actually enjoy that. So that's my 2 cents on farming with Brahman cattle, my experience I had with them. Do I recommend them for startup farmers? Do I recommend them for people that want to farm them? Yes, I do. I had fun with them. But like I mentioned, if you're going to farm Brahman cattle, you shouldn't be lazy. If you are lazy and farming Brahman cattle don't go together. If you want a low energy animal, either consider some of the European breeds, because those ones, particularly like the dual purpose breeds like your Brandvi and your Simmental, because those ones are used to being milked. So they are used to that. So, but if you are farming for beef, and you want to buy very good beef cattle, buy your Brahmans. But like I said, laziness and Brahmans is not a word you'd find with them. That's my 2 cents, guys. I want to ask you guys to like the page, like the video, like this video, subscribe to the page, share the video with your community, share the video with friends and family who want to learn farming, who want to learn a bit more about farming, who are interested in getting into farming, but just want to get the education that they're probably not getting out there. I'm always willing to assist. As I said, Any questions you guys have, whether it's cattle, small stock, horticulture, or poultry farming, or aquaculture. One person asked me about aquaculture, and I'm still getting to it. I will, of course, try and give you the best advice to the best of my abilities. If I can't, I'll get a hold of someone who can do it better than me. So, guys, for now, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and have yourself a very good, have yourself a very good evening, guys. For now, I